guest joining us, and his name is Dan Skeates. And Dan Skeates is an adventurer. He's not only an adventurer, but he is also he's a psychologist. So it will be really wonderful to have him live with us. So I hope that you join us, and here he is. So let's go and see if we can get Dan online. Reiterate what we're here for. So we're here with Dan Skeates. He's a global adventurer and a psychologist, a master psychologist, I think, aren't you? You've got a master's in psychology. And we're here.
So I'm led to believe, yes.
So we're here to chat about the mindset of an adventurer, and to chat about how it is that you do these crazy things that we do as global adventurers. And you certainly know both ends of that. So how about we get into it? So tell us about your what it takes. What is it that goes through an adventurer's mind when they decide, I think I'll ride my motorcycle from England to Sydney? What were you thinking?
Right. We're not brought up, are we, to, or most people aren't brought up to ride a motorbike around the world. Most people are brought up to get an education, fall in love, get married, have kids, and have a steady career for the rest of their lives. So, yeah, I was curious as to, so having done a few big trips, I was not only curious as to why none of my friends do this stuff. Why do I do it? And I arrived on the master's psychology degree, a positive psychology degree and coaching psychology degree. And positive psychology is the science of well-being. And as part of that master's, I needed to do a research project of my choice. And I thought, oh, great, I can involve all my passions in one here. So I looked into the well-being experiences of adventurers, and specifically overlanders on a motorbike, people who ride for an extended period of time around the world. And yeah, it was fascinating, because what transpired is that probably, like many people in life, there's a certain amount of disillusionment with their current life, bit of dissatisfaction, but that's not just common with an overlander. As I say, most people at some point in their life question, why they're doing the particular job they do. So that's one of the factors. There's a deep curiosity in travellers and explorers and adventurers. They just have a real big desire to understand, to get knowledge, and from my case and the people I interviewed for this project, it was just wanting to go and explore and see what the world is all about, and meet all these amazing people. But again, that isn't enough, because quite often, we know people who are dissatisfied, would like to travel. So what was that X factor? What was the third factor? And really it was bravery, because everybody who I interviewed who was dissatisfied with their current life, who did have this curiosity, wasn't so aware of the danger. There was danger of losing your old life, of giving up your job, renting your house out, waving goodbye to family and friends, and I had to make a decision to go.
Sorry, I just want to stick around that point just for a second, because that's a really good point that you say, because when you make a decision to do something like you did, riding a motorcycle from, one of the things that you've done, riding a motorcycle from England to Sydney, it not only affects you as the person and having the courage to do it, but it affects everybody around you, your community, and most people will say, oh, wow, and immediately their fears come up. So what sort of things did people say to you when you said, oh, I'm going to ride my motorbike from England to Australia? What sort of things would people say to you straight up? Because generally it's the fear coming from them. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think there's another interesting point on that, is that I had kids. Whilst I was divorced. I've got 2 kids, and I decided that I didn't want to put the stress on them and leave until they were getting onto adulthood. So I waited until they were 20 before I left. But I had been telling them and drip feeding them for years and years before that Dad was going to do something and travel when they were a bit older. With regard to my friends, I decided not to be the guy, as we say in England, the guy at the bar in the pub who's always talking about doing something and never does it. So I actually decided to keep all my plans to myself until maybe 6 months or a year before I went, although I knew many years before that I would be going. And to be fair, most people, I think, no, everybody was encouraging. And I think most people knew the type of character I was. And if I said I was going to go, I was going to go. And I did.
And so you were raising awareness for homeless people while you were doing that One Cool Ride. So if you want to see Dan's stories, it's your website is One Cool Ride, or is it just danskeates.com?
So really interesting. My website is danskeates.com, and it is a showcase for my blogs, really, and a few little amateur films and things. But it's in the process of being... so in a month, if anyone goes on it, it's going to show my new business venture. But at the minute, it's still got all my blogs on it. Okay, great. And does that talks about the awareness, raising awareness to homeless people on One Cool Ride? Yeah. Your blog? So the first trip I did when I came to Australia, when we met in Noosa, yes. I hadn't started the charity. That was just me indulging myself in my passion. But yes, I rode from Europe down through Africa in 2019, and that journey was called One Cool Ride, and visited homeless projects at various different cities and countries along the way, just learning about how other countries deal with this international problem of homelessness. So through all of your travels, I think you said that was 37 countries that you did on your first ride. I don't know how many countries you've been to since then. How many countries have you been on 2 wheels? I've been to 80 countries of the world and 60 of them on 2 wheels. Oh, fantastic. Well done. I've got a bit of catching up to do, I think. Well, you're a biker too. Yes, so I think I've done almost 40 on and 3 continents, across 3 continents. So, and so when you decided to do your journey, what was the preparation involved in, and how did you have to adjust as you prepared to go on your journeys, your adventures? Yeah, that's a great question, and. So I've always been a really great planner, and I think that comes into being able to leave, to plan everything and leave. And if you'd have been in my house 6 months before I left on my first trip, I bought an A3 flip chart, and I stuck pieces of paper on all the walls of my house, and I'd have titles on each sheet, and one was what camping gear to take, what medication to take, what inoculations, what paperwork. And I really am a big planner, and I think that made it, I planned to leave as well as to go. So I sorted my life out. I made sure, all my finances and my house was all okay while I left. But something really interesting has transpired since I've been studying psychology. And what I planned, and what most people plan, are all the practical things: when to leave, how to leave, the paperwork, as I say, whether you take a medical kit or not. But what I've learned, and through my research, is that mental health is a really big thing with long-term travel, both the anxiety and the stress of leaving and preparing to leave. It's not all fun. Going through muddy roads and through deserts, there's mental health problems along the way, and there's massive mental health problems coming home from a long journey. and adapting back to everyday life. So the one thing I've realised that I didn't prepare was my mental health. And that's where my new business venture is moving into.
Ah, fantastic. You know, it's interesting. I've lived in other countries before, and I found most people think it's going to the country where, you know, moving country that's going to be the hardest, or, you know, leaving home. But actually it's just as hard, and it takes just as long to adjust back. That's how I felt. What about you? How did you find? It was really 2 years for me.
Yeah. I mean, I've interviewed people who've been home from their trips 5 years, and they still haven't found the place they were looking for when they left originally to go on the trip. So what my research showed is that whilst it's a very the mental health whilst you're away and leaving can be tumultuous. It can be, you know, it can be quite traumatic at times. But generally, everybody's mental health and well-being improves when they travel, when they explore, when they indulge their curiosity. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
When they come home and they've met their family and friends and they've had the party and everyone else has gone off to work, and then this was me and the experience of the other people, you're left alone, and it's what happens then, you know?
Yeah.
You know, do you go back to your old life? Do you start something new? And what's transpired is, from the people I interviewed, there's two groups of people. The people who changed their life and changed their career and their vocation, kept their mental health and their well-being, but those people that went back to their old lifestyle with the job they never liked in the first place, yeah, their well-being diminished and reverted back to where it was before they left on the trip. So there's lessons to be learned for returning home.
Absolutely. And, you know, that reminds me of when we first met you and you came to stay with us in Noosa, and I remember you feeling really flat because it was at the end of your trip. So you were on your way to Sydney to the end of your ride, which you still had a good 2,000 kilometres to go. But I think as soon as you hit Australia, you're like, oh my God, I've made it. Like, what do I do now? What were you feeling? Like, what did you go through then?
Yeah, you're right. I was aware I was on the end of my trip when we met. I don't know if I decided when I was with you, but I actually didn't quite go straight home. I went home via Russia and Europe, but that's another story. Once my homecoming party had finished, I was bored. I was walking with a dog. I was buying a newspaper. I was doing some business consultancy work that was part-time, and it just wasn't fulfilling me.
Yeah, right.
It was coming home and not having a sense of purpose anymore that I had when I was traveling that led me to go back to education and led me to go to do my undergraduate psychology degree that ultimately led to my master's, and here we are today talking about it. You know, it's
Bravo,
it's a troubling time going home, Linda, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, you don't even think of that because you're so consumed with the decision that you've made to go and do something that you've always wanted to do. And it's interesting, you forget how it affects everybody around you, but you also have no idea that by the time you think, oh, I'll go home and everything will be the same. And it's never the same, is it? Because you've changed, but your expectation of perhaps the expectation of what you're going to have when you get home.
Yeah, you've summed it up perfectly there. Whether people realise it or not, when you are away for a period of time and you're exploring and you may be doing adventurous things, whether you overland or stay in one place, you have changed. And when you go home, your friends are great, your family are great, but they're as they were before, and fitting back in is sometimes difficult. Let's put it that way. Which is why many people have to reinvent themselves. And something interesting: the longer people are away, the more they become altruistic in their behaviour. So when I came home, I wanted to help people. I started the charity Now I'm starting my new business of coaching, adventure travel coaching. And those people that come home and change their career or vocation, as I say, they then start wanting to help people more. That's their new way of fitting into their old life.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and it takes courage, because I remember when I first, the second time I went overseas, and I came home and I just had this absolute need to be an entrepreneur and to do something really meaningful, and so this adventure just was not enough, and I wanted the next great adventure. But it took me another 5 to, I think, 7 years to actually make the leap out of the corporate world and into entrepreneurship, just because what I kept doing was shifting sideways. So what's in the mindset of people who think that they've made the change because they've changed their environment around them, or they've changed their job, but they've actually just shifted sideways, and that's how I experienced it, but didn't actually do the thing that was really important to me, and that was to do something.
Yeah, I mean, this is so current. This is so what I'm studying, and where my business is going right now. Because I think what you were talking about was maybe personal growth and a personal challenge. Maybe it took you some time to identify exactly where your growth was taking you and what your next challenge was going to be. And this is why I found the world of coaching. Probably like a lot of people, I've seen life coaches and business coaches and performance coaches popping up over social media and websites over the last number of years. And I really wasn't sure what that was about and what the benefit of it is.
So
now I've studied it. Sorry, Linda.
So what are the benefits now that you've studied it?
So many people in life may feel a little bit stuck. They might, as we said earlier, have a little bit of dissatisfaction about their job or the way their life's going. And like lots of people, they might have their dreams. So this is all very, very normal. But majority of people don't actually do anything about that.
Yeah, okay. That's really interesting because, sorry, I think I lost you there. Did I cut you off?
Yeah, I'm right back. Yeah, so all I was saying, Linda, people find it difficult to move from where they are now, from their current state, to whatever the future state is they desire. And that's where a coach comes in. So a coach, what I do is I help unlock people's mindset and their thoughts and empower them to make decisions on what they want in life, how to create a roadmap and a plan, how to take actions to fulfill themselves. And that's what I believe a coach does.
So what, knowing what you know now and having been on both ends as an adventurer, as you are, a global adventurer and a master's degree in psychology, what would you say to people out there who are in that place where they think, I just need the next best adventure in my life? And what would you say to those people who are about to make the shift, perhaps into entrepreneurship or to travel and live a global lifestyle, or do an adventure like what you did, traveling from one continent to the next?
Well, I think the very first thing to say is it's okay to have dreams and then not come true for some people. Not everybody is going to fulfill all of their dreams, and that's okay. But for those people that have dreams and they do want to realize them and they do want them to come true, they can come true. That's the first thing to say. Because some people have self-doubt, or they worry about what the family's going to say, or their ability to actually achieve their dreams. So there's some really practical things you can do. You can identify and clarify what your dream is. You can visualize it. You can write it down. You can paint it. You can, whatever you need to do to really understand what your dream is. And once you understand what your dream is and where you want to go and the movement that you want, and you can identify where you are now, you just need to identify what the gap is in the middle. And that sounds very easy to you, Linda, because you've done it. And it sounds easy to me because I've done it. That you can break it down into steps and say, So what's the first thing that I can do today to step forward towards my goal? And maybe it's some internet research. Maybe it's buying a book. Maybe it's talking to Linda. And it's small steps slowly towards a big goal.
Awesome. That's really great. And, you know, you just reminded me, I just keep coming back to when we first met in Australia. And one thing that really stuck in my mind was we talked about, you know, travel and the things that people say to you, and you say, oh, where's the best place in the world? And you said to me, I always remember this, you said to me, it's all about the people, isn't it? And I went, of course it is, that's it. And I'm like, yeah, that's it, exactly that. So I've never forgotten that, and I've quoted you so many times it's not even funny. And I do believe you have some sort of tattoo that says that, or something.
You're right, I do. I've got a tattoo. I've got a tattoo there. I don't know if you can see it. I was in Georgia, and I had I'd been thinking about this phrase that I'd been using and writing about. It's all about the people. And yes, I ended up getting the tattoo, and it's still with me. And I still use that phrase because it really is true. So when I break down my well-being and my life and my experiences and my future, my dreams, you know, my hopes and desires, it's all based around my family, my friends, the people I haven't met yet, the random encounters I meet when I travel, my friends I meet down the pub, you know, the people I'm just about to go into business with, two amazing women who I met on the master's degree. And you can take my motorbike, well, you can't take my motorbike away actually, but you can take everything else away, but don't take the people away from me, because that's what gives me my my happiest time, my most meaningful time.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, it's not, to me, it's not about the place, it's about the people. And when you think about a place that you've been before, it could be, you know, in the middle of the desert or somewhere just so random that there's not much happening. But if you have an experience there, or your mindset is in the right place because you create it, right? So maybe we can just quickly chat about that before we let you go. So, you know, creating your experiences when you go, and, you know, the ups and downs that you go through, how do you deal with the ups and downs as you're traveling?
Oh, God, the ups and downs. I mean, let's get it right. Riding a motorbike through the Sahara is not fun. It's great telling people you've done it and what an adventure and personal achievement of doing it, but it's not a lot of fun. But
especially when you break down, like I did.
When you break down, luckily I didn't. But actually, I nearly mentally broke down in the Sahara. It was so hard, really very hard and hot. But I think any overland travel, especially when you do it solo, as I generally do, breaking down is actually an opportunity. And many people before me have said this. Breaking down gives you an opportunity to meet people.
Absolutely true, because you know, it's not only just the people, but also to find the courage inside of you. I remember breaking down in the middle of the Mojave Desert, and it was the day where everybody was really busy, or maybe I looked like I knew what I was doing, but I so didn't. And I actually figured out how to pull the bike apart and figure out what was going on, but it took me 3 hours in the heat, and it was absolutely excruciating. But I had to keep a positive mind, and I had to keep focused on what was important, because, and also the survival skill, you know, making the decision, keeping a positive mind helps you make positive decisions towards, you know, what you want rather than what you don't want. So
you're right. But also, this is challenge. This is personal growth, Linda. This is.
I was really proud of myself, because I was like, "Wow, I've done something
exactly
that I wouldn't have done before." So
this is really important in the world of well-being. So we've probably all heard of hedonistic behaviour. Yeah, pleasure seekers. Let me
You
tell
better
you.
explain what is hedonistic behaviour to the people who don't understand.
Okay, so hedonistic behaviour, by the way, I'm the biggest advocate for hedonism. I'm the biggest hedonist out there. It's pleasure seeking. It's happiness seeking. It can be meeting your best friend for a coffee. It can be going to a concert. It can be going on holiday. It's just about immediate pleasure. Yeah.
Right.
I think a lot of people might have thought those intrepid hippies, those first overlanders, were very hedonistic. But the reality is there's another side to well-being, and that's eudaimonia. And Aristotle spoke about eudaimonia 2,000 years ago. And that's what we mentioned before, Linda, and that's about meaning and purpose in our life, about positive relationships we have with people, and about our personal journey and our personal growth. And this is what we get out. So you spoke about the Mojave, I spoke about the Sahara. So riding through or traveling through a desert is not hedonistic. There's no pleasure in it whatsoever. Let me tell everyone, don't go. But this is like mountain climbers. Sometimes when you're climbing a mountain, it's really hard. You know that feeling when you get to the top of the mountain, or when you've gone through the Mojave, and you think to yourself, either consciously or subconsciously, I did that. I am capable. There was a challenge. I've overcome the challenge. I've moved forward. It gives you such an empowering sense of belief in yourself. And that is a eudaimonic well-being feeling. That stays with you. Unlike hedonism that can go, you've been to the gig, you had a great time, you wake up with a hangover the next morning, life's back to usual. Eudaimonic well-being can stay with you, and it is sustained. And that's the great thing about searching for meaning and purpose in life and these relationships.
And I also love how you talked about having, having things happen in the, Sahara Desert, for instance, where you were, and the challenges that you had to overcome, they are also opportunities. So that is important, and it's also what we're going through at the moment, this whole global shift that we're having. People tend to get fixed on the bad part about it, but what are the opportunities that are inside of all of this? So going back to your Mojave Desert, your Sahara Desert experience, what were the opportunities and the struggles and opportunities that you had to deal with?
Oh, God, struggles. 50-degree heat, sand, bloody sand, more sand everywhere, no people. It's a really bad sign when you're in the heat and you see a dead camel by the side of the road. If a camel can't survive, it really makes you question what you're doing there. But it's a challenge, and there are lots of people. So you mentioned earlier, maybe some people want to start a business. Yeah. They look at what they have to do to start that business with maybe some anxiety and some terror even. Yeah, because it can be daunting if you haven't started a business before. But the opportunity is there for everybody to go across the desert on a motorbike, or to start a business, or to do whatever their challenge is. And once we step forward and embrace challenge and the unknown, which can be scary, when we do things like that and we realise, oh God, I did it. I started the business. I've got my first customer. I've made a website. I've had a conversation. Whatever it is, it can be really empowering, and it can push you forward to achieve other things in life.
Brilliant. That's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing those awesome tips. Now, have you got any last words for anyone out there who's thinking of leaving the corporate world and perhaps going off into the entrepreneurial world like you? What are your last words to people who...
I mean, that's a really, really great question, Linda. And I think everybody is going to think that we've set this question up, because we haven't. But it's obvious what they have to do. So if people have dreams, whatever their dream in life is, I think it is possible for them to step forward and achieve their dreams. But if it isn't possible, they just contact me, Linda. Yeah, I'm a life coach. I'm an adventure travel coach. My world and my vocation is to help people move from where they are now to where they want to go. And if they can't do it on their own, tell them how to find me.
All right. So how does somebody find you,
So,
Dan?
my current website is Dan Skeates. That's DANSKEATES.com. Right now, it's an adventure blog. It's just in the process of being the content changed for coaching. They can contact me via that. They can find me on Instagram here. There's they can personal message me.
So what's your handle on Instagram? Is it Dan Skeates?
It's just Dan Skeates.
Perfect. That's awesome. So we have Mark's just walked in the door. He wants to say g'day.
Hey.
I've been listening in with my alter ego there, Dan. Fantastic. Great. I'm well. I'm remembering getting stuck in the Sahara myself, and probably about 10 years before you did, and the challenge of going down the Silk Road on my 50th birthday, and it's all great fun. But, it does push you, and
Well, look,
it does.
It does. If you two stay in the Alps, I'll be coming to visit you on my bike when I'm allowed to.
Well, just come and chase us, because we're nomads, and you never know where we're going to be. And it might be a little bit way to catch us, but you never know. We'll catch up again and then have another beer or share some great time. Yeah, indeed. I'll hand you back to Linda. You can wrap up, and that's been an awesome day. Thank you.
So that's Mark, the founder of Nomad Stays, and I'm Linda, the co-founder of Nomad Stays, and this is Dan Skeates, the adventurer and psychologist, positive psychology. So if you need somebody and you're thinking about going on your next adventure and you need some help, go to Dan Skeates. He's your man. On two wheels. So how, just before we let you go, how is the Dakar bike, that beautiful 650 you've got there?
The same bike. I've just spent an awful lot of money. It's done 100 and something thousand kilometers now.
Oh,
I've just had
wow.
it completely renovated, ready for my next trip, and I'm going to head over to the Americas.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. So don't you make it to Alaska before me, because that's not fair.
Well, one of us has to get there first.
Okay. The race is on. All right, mate. It's lovely to see you, and thanks for joining us and sharing your adventure. If you want to know more about Dan Skeates, like I said, you connect up with him on Instagram, and there's more to come with adventures, Meet the Adventures and Nomad Stays. If you haven't seen us already, go and check out nomadstays.co. And we'll help you find extended stays on your journeys and on your adventures in off the beaten track places. All right. Thanks, Dan.
Bye, everyone.
See you.
Thanks, Linda.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, Mark. Bye.
Cheers.